Yeah, episode 19 of the Prime Podcast. I am your motherfucking host, Coast. There is your other host, Fats. There is your other host who makes more appearances on this podcast than anyone else. My man, Big Chief Smash. Everybody say, what's up?
Yeah.
Yo, what up?
Hey, guys. How we doing today?
Chilling. What's going on with you, Coach?
Fan-fucking-tastic.
I'm over here living my best life. I have a vitamin water zero, to refresh my electrolytes. And that's it.
So Jay, how's everything going in your neck of the woods, man?
Man, things have quieted down significantly. Sunday, not this last Sunday, the Sunday before last was pretty nuts because the riots came here to the Bronx and that shit was live. But yeah, other than that, we're good.
Yeah, I was up there when that was happening, man. I was at work, when that was all going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right behind Grand Concourse, so that shit was live as fuck. I mean, it got crazy over here.
Right. You know what's so funny about that is that in the distance you could hear there was a lot going on in the distance where I was. And then we started getting all the reports that Fordham Road was getting like demolished. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
It was crazy. The carnage when I went up there like after and I saw everything that was boarded up and everything else like that. I think I said this to you. I think I said this to you last time, Coast.
Yeah. Tell me again.
I think I said this to you last time.
I heard you. Go ahead. I don't mean to be a distraction, but
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the last episode that we talked about this, I told you that they were like looting a lot of stuff that like these it was more like a come up type thing. You know what I mean?
oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was definitely the young cats getting down. I mean,
Yeah,
like
it
early
was-
afternoon, they were already at it.
Yeah.
In my neighborhood, I can look down from my fire escape and I would just see all the kids coming, like walking back to their apartment complexes with like Yeezys and shit, just boxes of shoes.
Right.
People were just stealing shit from the display. I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do with all lefties, bro? Like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I saw that. That is a point. Like, what? I guess you could just put it up on your shelf now.
Yeah, show it
Instead
on
of it
the
being in the store, you got it at home.
Yeah, there was a couple people walking around literally wearing like two left shoes. Like, yo, like they got their shit taken off them in the shoe store, and then they were left to just fucking walk out with display shoes.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
It was wild. But you know what I'm saying? Yo, Fats, when I went outside to assess the damage the following day,
right.
Real shit, it just looked like the Bronx. It didn't look different. It like Fordham, like maybe a couple boards and shit, but like it really just didn't look as bad as where like it was a noticeable change for me. I mean, I've been here for years in this neighborhood. I've seen it through its ups and downs. So when people are like, "Oh, they destroyed fucking Fordham," I'm like, have you been inside the fucking McDonald's right there? Like by what is that, Third? Nah. Anyway, but like it's not such a drastic change. Like people act like it was like downtown LA during the riots and shit. Like it
wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad,
Yeah.
but what it was what I was telling Coach last time. I had a problem with the fact that they were like hitting mom and pop shops too.
Yeah, that was the fucked up part. I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's one thing to go against
like
larger corporations and shit.
Big companies, they'll be okay. But the mom and pop shops that they were hitting, that I had a real problem with that. And like on Tremont Avenue, I know that they hit a pawn shop. They hit and it's one pharmacy that they hit that I know for a fact this pharmacy provides medicine for a lot of the older folks in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's a little mom and pop shop. It's not like they hit a Rite Aid or Walgreens or it was more or less something that people in the neighborhood depend on, and now that place is boarded up.
Unfortunately, this speaks to an element of history, and history being that no matter where, no matter when, whenever a society or a great city collapses, there will always be the sacking of the city, even from the inside. You know, Constantinople falls, it was sacked from the inside. Rome
Right.
fell, it was sacked from the inside. There will always be opportunists, there will always be agitators. None of that is to say that it should take away from the actual message, and I'll tell you why. On Grand Concourse, let's say by like 184, a lot of the places that looked like they got hit, they just boarded up their spot, right? They were
Right.
fine.
Right.
But even more so, what made it more impressive that they didn't get hit is because they showed signage in front of their store saying that they were absolutely 100% for the cause. Like they had posters of George Floyd out there, Black Lives Matter signs or whatever. Those
Right.
places weren't touched because of that. Now, that's not to say that it's fair or everyone else is fair game, but when in times like this, emotions are high or whatever, people pick sides, and immediately it goes to the if you're not with us, you're against us mentality. Depending on the cause or whatever, people will have whatever emotions or feelings about that. People virtue signaling and all that shit. But these are time these are heavy times. Things that changes are coming, things are happening, and as a direct result of this, so many changes have happened within police departments, within policy in the U.S. and around the globe.
The only thing is though, when you strike out, like when you loot a target, like I was telling Coast this before, when you loot a target, you're striking out against the system. When you
Yeah,
loot an Old Navy, you're striking out against the system. Foot Locker, all of these big corporations, all of these big Fortune 500 companies, you're striking out against the system that you feel oppressed by. The mom and pop guy, the little guy, he's there with you.
yeah,
S-
absolutely.
So that's when, like, it got a little dicey for me when you're hitting the little mom and pop shop.
Well, the people that are for the message, the people that are actually, protesting and rioting because, for the real reason, they understand that. They
Right.
bring the fight to the police. They bring the fight to the corporations. They bring the fight to the billionaires. They bring the fight to all the elements of the system, which, supports inequality. The opportunists are the ones that don't care.
Right.
They'll be right there to get whatever they can, and
But
that's the element that people are
but see,
lumping in with the rest, and it does ruin it. It does tarnish the message for some.
again, now when the media gets a hold of that, who do you think that they sensationalize? They sensationalize the opportunists because now
Oh,
that
obviously.
that gives them an angle to say that the looting is wrong. Whatever, however you feel about it, they'll take that and run with that instead of everything that's going on.
But they always do that, and that's always going to be the case. But people forget it wasn't Dr. King's peaceful marches that changed anything. It was the riots that happened after he was assassinated, the riots that happened in multiple cities, the
Right.
violence and the looting that forced the Civil Rights Act to pass. It wasn't peaceful protests that won gay people's rights. It started with the Stonewall riots. It wasn't peaceful protests and sign holding and respectability politics that won women's suffrage. It was rioting. Women were out there breaking windows and burning shit too. So people forget that, yeah, while there will always be unfortunate, collateral damage, it works. No big change has ever occurred without some sort of rioting. And that's not to say that I'm being callous to people that have been negatively affected by it, but there was always going to be collateral damage. And unfortunately, it's because kneeling didn't work. It's because hashtags didn't work. It's because signs didn't work. It's because peaceful protesting didn't work, and peaceful protesting keeps being met with force by police. Then what other options are people left with? You didn't respect us when we fucking knelt, so now you're gonna fill this bottle.
Sure, I do. You know, I have like a whole different. People might think that I don't care because I don't like. I'm not on there like voicing my opinion about everything. But I have like a whole different. Like I don't. Maybe it's that I just don't have the fucking energy anymore. I don't know. I just think about shit way different. I feel like I give up kind of. I feel like nothing, anything we do or say ever will take a permanent effect because I see all of my people that are out there, going to protest and going to stand up and say something, and then I see all the white people getting mad. Why are you blocking up Sunrise Highway? Why are you walking on the Southern State? Why are you fucking marching through fucking Smithtown? Like, and then it's like all this does to me, especially out here, is just perpetuate this cycle of just fuckery. Like it seems to be like there's no end. As long as the media, social media, also mainstream media, anywhere you turn, as long as everybody keeps giving light to that negativity that puts people against each other, like where does it stop? When do we say, okay, that's good, we got what we want? When does that happen? What do we want? What do we want? It seems like a thing that's going to be over time. Like, yes, we want to see less, actually no killings of black men by the police and unfair treatment. But when do we call it, like, enough with everything else that's causing people to be further separated now?
Well, see, that's where the danger lies, man. It's when people start getting complacent. The system will bend just enough to shut people up, and then hope that it'll return with 98% normalcy, and then people won't make a big deal about it moving forward. And that's not really what people want these days. What people want, the overall. I guess the overall goal here is just accountability. If you're supposed to be the paragon of society, if you are supposed to be the person that carries out and enforces the laws, then you should be, beholden to the same standards as the citizens you are supposed to protect. Now, that is not to say that, I'm an idealist in terms of what police are to do, because, it's already been, proven that, like, police technically aren't under any obligation to protect a citizen. It's to uphold whatever law that they think. There's a whole lot that goes into it, IQ ceilings and all that stuff. And it's unfortunate because it took several people in quick succession to fall for us to finally realize, like, the camel can't hold this much straw. I guess if I'm going to subvert the maxim,
Yeah.
it took Breonna Taylor, it took Ahmaud Arbery, it took George Floyd, and so many others. And people that the thing that people don't realize is we're not just out here protesting for the cessation of the killing of black men. It's just for while that voice is really loud right now, and it's important that it's heard, the overall goal is that police are held accountable. They can't just run around and kill with impunity. If I did my job poorly and I shielded other people, my colleagues, from doing their job poorly as well, then in the real world, the way it operates is I would be punished for it. And if it continued, I would eventually be replaced. And we feel like that's how police departments should be run. At least people that are okay with policing. Now, there's a small minority voice that's just like, yo, abolish all policing, and I have feelings about that too. I'm more of a solid leftist, but I also know the world in which I live in, and I have to navigate around. But that being said, the end goal is that there shouldn't be killings of United States citizens with impunity by police. That being a cop shouldn't protect you from breaking the law. And unfortunately, we know that in police culture there is what they refer to as the what's it called, the professional courtesy. Cops pulling each other over for driving drunk. Oh, let's just get them a ride home or whatever. Let them sleep it off. It'll be okay. Anybody else would have caught a DUI. They'd be doing time right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that shit happens. That shit happens all the time. But it just seems to me like, I don't know. This seems like a never-ending battle. It just fucking. It's like somebody said to me the other day. You know who Screw Tape is, Jay?
Yeah, I know who Screw Tape is. Big fan. Big up to Brian.
Yeah, he shared some shit. He shared, and this shit rubs me all kinds of weird. He shared some shit that somebody wrote, and I read it, and I'm like, is this real fucking life? It was like, how to. I'm definitely gonna fuck up, exactly how it was worded, but how white people must act at a protest, and it was written by a fucking white guy. First of all, because I clicked the fucking guy's page who wrote it, and he was white as fuck, and it was like make sure you bring extra snacks and water and it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like it just, to me, it's like fucking, I don't know. It's like they'll commercialize anything and make it like that's to me. It's like, go get a fucking snack, go get a water. What are we here for? Like, what? Who are these people that are making up the rules that are now in place? I just feel like it's getting out from under the cause of what it's about
Well,
and
that's the
turning into.
problem with white liberals. You know, as well intentioned as they may be, they sometimes forget that it's not about them, and they go and rush to do things that immediately draw the focus to them. You know, and again, they have good intentions, and I don't want to forget that. But then they'll
Yeah,
do shit
but
like darken their skin and post photos of themselves with tape over their mouth saying "hands up, don't shoot," or "I can't breathe." And it's like, yeah, okay, so great message, but you just did blackface. What the fuck is wrong with you?
wait, that really happens?
Yes.
Like, how do they darken their skin?
Like they'll literally like do one side of their face black and the other side white, or they'll completely darken their
Yeah.
face, or they'll do like a black arm coating and a white arm, and they'll have different messages written on it in different parts of their body and make different parts of their body appear to be of the black race or a darker skin
Bro,
tone
this
person.
is exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
And yeah, and exactly, and that's one of the things. It's like, yo, like we need white liberals to understand, like, don't make this about you. You want to be there, help elevate other people's message, but don't be there to make it about you and the fucking and the like the levels of God, like just making yourself a spectacle for the sake of getting attention to the message. Then you're taking away the message. Now no one's talking about Black Lives Matter. They'll be like, yo, Becky over here is fucking, got a half black face.
But you know, the thing about it is that a lot of people are trying to identify, and it's the same thing. Like I told Coast before, most people feel like being empathetic is being is the same thing as feeling the actual feeling. And
Right.
I gave the analogy that until you actually like if you lose a parent and the person that's trying to be empathetic to you has never felt that feeling before, they can only try to sympathize, but they can't really understand the level of emotion that you're feeling right now. So it's
True.
like when you look at like people trying to protest and they're trying to raise awareness, they're trying so hard to identify, but because they have not lived the life of discrimination, of oppression, of segregation, of bigotry and bias toward them, they've had basically privilege all their
No,
lives.
they've had privilege. They didn't basically have privilege.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Basically, they've
it-
had privilege
Yeah.
their whole life. So at the end of the day, ring it, ring it, ring it. Go ahead.
No, man. I'm gonna let you slide on one.
You gonna let him
So
slide? I'm not.
but anyway, now you have to say I can understand people trying to be empathetic, but they're just going so hard to try to be empathetic that it's now detracting from what they're trying to be empathetic about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then they get real reckless with their talk too. I mean, you see like white liberals out there holding up signs that say "I only suck black dick for BLM" and shit like that. And it's like they'll make these comments, and I'm like, yo, you don't realize benevolent racism is still racism.
Right.
Like
Bro,
it's not, like black people are not a monolith, and don't reduce people's ancestry and heritage and lineage to their fucking genitals. Come on.
dude, there's a kid on my Facebook for the last few days who they're doing all these protests in Long Island, and he makes these fucking videos, and he doesn't realize how fucking racist he sounds when he's talking. He's at the fucking thing, and he goes, I want to make this video right now to tell you that I'm here because not all black people are bad people. I'm like, bro, like, to me, this sounds all kinds of wild fucking crazy because it's like, who told you that? Like, who drove that into your head your entire life that you feel like you need to now tell the entire world, like the world itself, that people didn't know that? Like that, and that's your platform that you're standing on out here, that all black people are not bad black people. That doesn't seem fucking racist to anyone when you say it. Like, just in and of itself, do we need to say that?
Like you're basically telling on yourself like how you were raised.
Like,
And
yeah, like,
what you think now.
but he's just out there saying it.
But
If he
I told you last time, this is generational. This is not something, even with awareness being made right now, like now this is front and center. We already know, we already said this is the only show in town anyway. So it's raising the awareness. But conversations about it are not going to be the remedy to the problem. This is a generational issue. This is an issue that's been in play since the inception of this country. What happens now is now we have to, if you really want to switch gears, it's not about who's alive right now. It's about now the little kids. You have to stop indoctrinating them with all of this foolishness. It's about the small children. It's not about the people that are adults now, because everybody that's been indoctrinated for years and years and years about the actual cultural differences and everything between races, you have that within you. Also, if you had experiences where you came into contact with racism, no matter how much you could uh consider yourself a forward thinker, it's hard to deal with bias toward you when it's like you're only being biased to me because of the way I look, not because of anything I've done, not because anything I've not done. It's just because of the way I look, and because you have been taught to hate me because of the way I look.
Yeah, I feel like this is something, and even more so now that I see all these videos. Like, I feel like this is something that's gonna take a long fucking time. Like generations are gonna have to die off
Right,
before people truly see the fucking
right.
world for what it is. Because, dude, I'm telling you, bro. I don't know. Did you guys see that shit in Smithtown, Long Island?
No,
What the Trump rally?
No, there was a Trump rally, and then another. I guess it was for Black Lives Matter protest. It was like in the same place, and these dudes just squared off and had a fucking like just battle with each other. There's grown men on the video, like 45, 50-year-old white dude. I see this video. They're marching past, they're walking, and he's just saying shit. He's saying like fuck, he's a nigga lover. Like you're a grown man and you're out in public in front of kids, in front of everybody else, and you have no shame to say something like this? Like who raised you? Where? Fuck, you're in
Right.
fucking New
They
York.
have
Like
no shame because they honestly feel deep in their hearts that they're in the right, that their way of thinking is the
dude,
only way, and
but that's
that's
what I'm
what's
saying.
crazy.
Like
And
that shit.
you're right. It's
That
generational. That's just got to die off.
it's gotta. It's the only way this is gonna stop. For
So help
this
the
guy,
process and cough on these motherfuckers.
I don't have corona. You cough on a motherfucker. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's like so ingrained into people that it's like, and
but
then
but
who knows?
this
The
is
guy
why
looked of age to have kids. Like,
this is why I
go
asked
ahead.
you. This is why I asked you before, Coast. For a black person in America, what is the time period that you could say that America was great?
I mean, I see. This is also the other shit about this whole thing, and this is from my perspective, and I've been under certain types of fucking scrutiny my entire life. I'm obviously not black, but people didn't always like the way I got down, and I just don't fucking care. I know I'm not comparing myself to living as a black person because I don't know. I'm not never been. But that when was America great? America's what you're gonna make it for yourself. If people don't, gonna give you a hard time along the way, you process that the way you want, man, because it's gonna detract from what the fuck you're really trying to do.
No.
Like
What
like
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about a person.
I know you're not talking about now. You're talking about
No,
in history. When did this ever not exist, right?
what I'm saying is, personally, I'm not talking about a person's self-esteem. I'm telling you about historically. When was the
Dude,
point? Listen, when was the point in America when a black person had the same civil liberty as a white person? in this country?
Never. That's a rhetorical question because you know the answer is fucking never.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, when we see that type of slogan or that type of message being sent, that's a direct slap in the face. Just to look at it, like, are you serious? For
I
us,
mean,
that, like, you know what I mean?
I understand, but let me ask you a question. Do you think that was written with the express sentiment of y- like like a slap in the face? Like fuck you. I don't
What
care
what
if
I
you're if
what I think was
Yes.
what I think is I think that it was very cleverly put out there to, like, I think that it was like a call to action for all people that have any type of bigoted and biased views.
What they were trying to make some harkening back to was like sometime where the nuclear family was the so-called nuclear family was like the model image. Mother stays at home, father goes out to work, he's wearing a suit, two kids and a dog. They live in a neighborhood where everyone looks like them and nobody else crosses over that line. Like that's what they were kind of calling back to, and an era, a pre integration era, or I guess back to like the segregated era. Like that's what they wanted. That's what this was about. They were dissatisfied with making America great again. The whole thing was about being dissatisfied with what America looks like now in terms of demographics, in terms of where money is now held, in terms of people of color, where fame is, where all that shit rests. They don't like it. They're dissatisfied. They think that they are somehow owed something. I forgot who the originator of this quote was, but a lot of these people feel like they are millionaires in waiting, which is why they keep defending millionaires, which is why they keep thinking that that very soon they're going to get their big piece of the pie. And when they see people of color passing them up, people that they historically were okay with just being left behind, it pisses them off.
so do you think that that was meant to like stop that from happening? That slogan and motto and
Oh, I mean, it was definitely a way to galvanize people that wanted a return to that era. And, really honestly, there's no better group of people that know how to galvanize themselves than conservatives. They honestly think that they are losing things right now.
But
They
here's
don't
my
think
point.
they have
Here's
any
my
power.
point. If we're talking about the spirit of America, right? We're talking about the spirit of America. If you, let's just start right here. You have a group of people. You have a group of people that was enslaved in this country, right? So now these people are they're so-called freed from slavery, but then there are a whole bunch of laws that are put in place to keep these people second class.
Jim Crow era.
Right. Then from Jim Crow, we go into segregation. So
Redlining practices, things like that.
every step of the way, this group of people was being held back so that another group of people could move forward. They can advance forward.
Example, the Homestead Act, which granted white families free land. And one of the expressed stipulations of that is that none of that land could be given to black families.
So again, now every step of this way, from Black Wall Street to black towns and black
Tulsa,
business
Oklahoma,
and black
1921.
businesses and everything, historical black colleges and everything else like that, and every step of the way, these people are resilient enough to rise and to rise above the 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 system to now attain a status. You have people that are still sitting back like as if these people have been given something. They're taking something away from me. But that is the American spirit right there.
dude,
The-
most
the-
of the people that think that way also have nothing.
but
Well,
that's
it's funny.
that's the funny
Exactly.
part.
That's a huge part of it.
But that's because it's human nature to look at the next guy's plate or look over at your neighbor's lawn and be like, that's
That's
greener."
literally what drives the U.S. economy.
Right.
Coveting
So,
thy neighbor's goods.
but this is why we talked about this on the last podcast, Jay. It's not up yet. It'll be up probably tonight.
Okay.
But we were having sort of a similar conversation to this, and this is why, like, and this all started when I really started taking a deep dive into this shit. Let me say something to Fats here. Let's see if this remembers. When I say hip, you say hop. When I say fuck, you say cops. Every fucking show
Right.
for years and
Right.
over and over and over and over and over and then you start. I'm referring to the years where I was rolling with Bollock and Fats was rolling with Tech, and everybody's rolling with Tech, and we're going to all these shows.
Bollock
And
still fat?
what happened? Bollock, yeah,
Bollock still fat?
definitely, even fatter now than he was yesterday. He's like 0.2 ounces fatter every day than he was the day before. But so this is the thing though. But that was like you're talking about early 2000s. And I was gung fucking ho. Everything was a fucking injustice. Everything was a conspiracy. Everything was this. And then when I got down and broke it down further into the fucking brass tacks, everything was like that for a fucking reason. For a fucking reason why it was happening. It's a formula that they've been working on in a fucking lab forever.
Right.
Yeah,
And
people say like, "Oh, the system's broken." No, it's operating the way it's fucking designed
it's
to.
running like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly.
So to me, it's like,
Jay,
talk to
this guy talking is a prolific wonder.
Prolific wonder. Why do you say this?
So I was talking to him the other night, right? And we were breaking down the COVID, right?
Uh-huh.
And my man said to me, listen, quite frankly, the flu just had a publicist this year.
That's what I felt. I'm just sitting there like, you know what it was? It was like I'm sitting here like everybody else. Obviously, this hit super home for you, Jay, because you got sick as fuck. But this is the thing, though. There's been years where I had gotten the flu and I could not get out of a fucking bed. I could not stop coughing. I could not, obviously sickness comes in many different ways, shape, and forms. This year had, this shit happened to be a motherfucker of a motherfucker. So, but my point was like, when they were talking about this in the beginning of it, when I first started reading through the lines, it was like, we may have to get used to a new way of life, but all this verbiage that everybody is saying on every fucking channel, and if you listen to it enough, you'll be fucking petrified and scared. But once you turn it off and you sit in your yard and you talk to your family and friends, and then it starts getting nice out, and all of a sudden everybody's at the beach. Everybody's going to get food here. They're ordering Grubhub again. They're ordering from this restaurant. All these fears went away, yet the numbers are going down. And then this happens. And then COVID, who? What?
I mean, that's the nature of man. We are mostly driven. Most of our choices are governed by fear impulses.
And those two things, number one, daddy, is media. Most notably now social media, and we have many lemmings carrying the message to their various corners of the world, where everybody says this here, everybody says that there. Then they argue, then they watch the news, then they argue with their mom, then they argue with their dad, then they argue with the guy across the street because he's a fucking asshole too. And it's like, it's just never fucking ending. I have to completely fucking, I had to pull that fucking plug, bro, because I watched the fucking Viva la Revolution! Immortal Technique on that stage in front of 35, 40 fucking thousand people, right?
Right.
When did the fucking revolution happen? Where's Mortal Technique now? We need you right fucking now. We need you, bro. Because clearly the people can't fucking lead themselves. We're not affecting any, like, through the years of all this fucking revolution that was happening, and everybody that hated, all it did to me when I sat back and really fucking looked at it, all it ever did was fucking divide people. All it ever did was make people fucking mad at each other and make people think that there was sides to take. Like this, I don't fuck with those people because that. I don't fuck with these people because this. But when I sat back and looked at the politics behind it and saw who was getting fucking rich off it and who was actually just there existing in it, I mean, man, maybe I'm fucking wrong, but it's still fucking happening, and it's just different players in place, and there's people that figure out how to fucking make it work for them, and I just don't I don't know. I don't
To
feel
be
it. I
to
don't.
be to be quite honest, uh, it's all economic, man.
It's all
Every
economics,
everything
bro.
everything everything that goes on in this country is economic. And we have a plethora of houses of worship. I go to a house of worship myself. Um, there's people that subscribe to multiple different religions and religious practices. The fact of the matter is, the number one religion in this country is economics, it's capitalism. The almighty dollar on which in God we trust is printed on it.
Yeah, man. It's the haves and the have-nots.
And
That's what one thing I wanted to point out though, and going back to what you just said, Phil. You said you could be wrong. It's not that. Um, there is this belief that there is only one way to think, and I am absolutely against being completely binary or black and white about one's thinking. There
black and white.
absolutely can be.
Black and white.
Well,
We- Whoa.
so in the sense what I'm talking about is there absolutely can be a revolution of idealists trying to put forth some sort of change that will mold or direct society in a specific direction that benefits more people, not just a select few. But there can also be concurrently people profiting off it, people capitalizing on it, people virtue signaling in order to pull in profits. Those things can happen and do happen at the exact same time. There will always be people that will try to profit off of some sort of shift because they know people will spend money in order to reflect these things. People want to identify, people want to have, something that relates them to what it is they believe. And, virtue signaling works both ways, to people that do it and both to the people that call it out, because you're calling out is you putting a firm stance that, hey, well, this is what I don't believe in, and then you want people to rally around you too. Hold on a second while I drink my virtue signaling juice. Y'all will find out in this video later.
Yeah. Drink that.
You know
drink
the
that
fun.
drink,
You know.
baby.
You know what the thing is though, with like landowners in the beginning of this country, landowners that were taking all the money, that the people that own the plantations that had all the money, these white people that were becoming super mega rich and creating dynasties and everything else like that. They basically had a lot of white people that were like looking at them like, well, you have and I don't. And the best way that they could galvanize white people who were, the majority in this country all the time, and say, you know what, you might not have the money I have, but at least you're white. You're better than them. So
That's how they did it.
so now you have all of these poor white people that want to hate poor black people. And now we have this fighting back and forth of poor people hating poor people, while rich people continue to make so much money and continue to control the narrative of this country. If there's
It-
if there people wanted to, if they really wanted to rid this country of drugs, do you not think that they could?
Of course they could.
Absolutely.
If they
You-
wanted to, even with the gun laws, if they wanted to disarm this country, do you think that that would be a problem?
Bro, if they wanted to do anything,
That's a
my-
tricky one.
No, it's not.
For me, because I've got some wilder theories on that, but continue your point.
What, gun control?
What, on gun control?
Oh yeah, on gun control, absolutely.
What do you mean?
Gun
It's-
control is big business, and
it is.
fear plays into quantum spikes in purchasing of guns.
Bro,
Bro,
when we went
analogy-
on quarantine, forget a gun. Try to find bullets, man.
Yeah,
Bro, you
word
should
up.
have seen the fucking gun store the other day on Hempstead Turnpike. There was a fucking line like a new Backstreet Boys CD came out.
And
They're
fear
fucking
drives. All
Bro.
that shit. Fear translates to dollars. Like I was saying before, when Obama announced his candidacy back in 2007,
Right.
right? Gun sales shot through the fucking roof because there
Yeah.
was fear of this new black socialist that was going to put white people in FEMA camps. And, you know, granted, I feel sorry for all the white people that went to FEMA camps between 2008 and 2016. Y'all had it rough. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but even if that
But
was the case, right?
right.
Why would you even let's just say the guy had that in mind to do, which we know he didn't. But the thing about it is, where is that level of guilt coming from? That is guilt saying, you know what? He's going to try to get back at me for all that's been done to his own people. Isn't that where that thought process emanates from?
That is from guilt and fear. And even though,
Exactly.
and it's funny that's the other side of the coin of white guilt. You have white guilt, which gives us liberals that blackface themselves, and we have white guilt to think that every black person is going to come to their home and impregnate their daughter and take their property.
Yo, I want to
Big up to
ask.
the interracial couples.
I wanted to ask a question here because I was also talking to this kid Ron the other day. I don't know if you know Ron. He's a rapper. He's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you ever want to talk about Black Wall Street, hit up Ron.
I'm gonna talk to Ron, yeah.
Yeah, but he said something to me about Sicilians. He's like he sent me something, but it made me think. Like when Sicilians first came to this country, they were the most hated motherfuckers on earth. What happened? Well, I just want to know from your perspective of how did
economic inclusion, man. That's what happened.
economic inclusion happen, or
Oh, not just that. Not just that. They had y'all had a good PR person. Y'all had someone that said, "Hey, let's make Italians and Sicilians more relatable by pushing forth. Hey, remember Christopher Columbus?" And that started kind of softening the public opinion about Italians in America and reminding people that Italians had a big part, a big contribution to all this that they had now, the American way of life, America as a landmass.
And come on, let's not fool ourselves. When the sensationalism of
You're drunk.
the sensational?
Yeah, when gangster films and the gangster lifestyle started to be sensationalized in the media, that turned a whole new light on what being Sicilian was.
Yeah, but this is way before that. And when I read,
what do you mean way before that?
I'm talking about. I'm talking about. There's still wet on the back, getting off, coming to this country.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say is, when you know, like in the days of like prohibition and gangs and everything, like I said, there were fortunes that were made. Economic inclusion is what happened. This is what I'm saying.
Do you know why that happened though? Do you know what happened when that happened?
What happened?
I'll tell you what happened. They came here. They didn't speak the language. They didn't know nothing. All they fucking know is they left Italy or Sicily, wherever they came from. And why did they leave there to begin with? Ask yourself that question. They left there because they couldn't make any fucking money.
Right.
Because they couldn't fucking eat because it was terrible.
Okay.
They couldn't make it there. But they came here and they did one thing.
By choice, though. By
yes,
choice.
I know. I'm not comparing Italians to fucking black people, bro. This is not my point. My point is that, and I had this conversation also with my boy at work, fucking Gomez.
Right.
We talked about it all the time. Gomez is Ecuadorian.
Right.
And he's like, we would have these same type of conversations. But I'll tell you what he said after I get to this point I'm trying to make. They came here and there was no Sicilians, fuck Italians. There was nobody fucked with Italians.
Right.
And what did they do? They fucking built everything. They laid brick. They fucking made money. They became the mafia. They said, "Oh, you don't fuck with us? Okay, good for you. We're just gonna take it our own, and we're just gonna fucking do what we want." So much so to the point that now Italian people are white. They're not Italian anymore.
Yeah, that was a big thing. They were brought into the fold of whiteness. Remember, Italians basically did the same thing that black folks tried to do with Tulsa, Oklahoma. They tried creating their own economy, and since they were excluded from everybody else, they wanted to make their own thing. and it worked. And because they were white passing, there was able to be some sort of understanding like, well, look, there's this economic power that you guys have, so let's just kind of bring you into the fold. You guys are better, but these cats coming right here aren't. That, you know, it was around then when Italians, it was when Italians were competing with Hungarians, with the Hungies or the honkies that they would call them. That's where it came from. It was back then when they were competing to be like the major labor force. That's when Italians started, kind of mobbing up so that they would be able to muscle their way in and be like, no, our guys are going to build this fucking building, not the Hungarians.
That's where the whole Italian Irish thing came in.
Oh yeah, with the Irish too, exactly. With the Irish, exactly.
But
that's it in that stat though. They did that.
Coast.
Yes, sir.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. When you have people that come here, they don't speak the language, they pretty much stick to themselves. They mob up and stick to themselves. They create their own economy within an economy.
That's right.
Which now somebody, and I can't quote the exact figures, but they were saying that they were having different groups of people: Indian people, Asian people, Spanish people, Black people, and they were saying how when these communities, the money comes in, how long it takes for the money to come out of that community. Right.
Oh, that money is still under a mattress somewhere.
But what I'm saying is the reason why when it comes into an Indian population, they spend it amongst themselves. They support their own shops. They support their own distributors. They spend the money. They go out and make the money, but then they spend it amongst themselves. Asian people do the same. Now, when Sicilians were changing the narrative for themselves, they began to hoard the money and keep it amongst themselves. And that's what gave them an economic power base to have inclusion, to now be considered white, because they had a lot of money. The fact of the matter is that one of the stigmas that is left behind from slavery is a general mistrust amongst Black people of themselves, because that was taught. So when you have that, you have this general separation of, the economics within the community. Whereas
this all goes back to one thing too, mind you. The thing I talk about the whole time. Who were they taught that by? They were taught that by the fucking media, by who wanted to keep them in that position.
Exactly.
And ask yourself why.
But it's a general mistrust that has them unable to unite and to keep the economic base within themselves. You see what I'm saying? As far
100%.
as hurting corporations, Black people are super consumers of a lot of corporate brands and corporate companies. A lot of these billion-dollar corporations make a lot of their money from the Black community. At the end of all of that, you have like government that has the social classes. You told me about that the last one. You were like, well, somebody that lives my lifestyle. How do you keep people disenfranchised? You say, okay, we'll elevate some to this, we'll elevate some to that, but we'll keep some down here, and that will cause infighting as well. Because now, like you guys both said, the nature of man is to look at somebody else's plate and say, well, you got that, and I don't have this. Right or wrong?
Absolutely, 100%, bro.
So when you have all of that, it's hard for inclusion. It's hard. All inclusion into any type of system is economic. You cannot be included if you don't have the bag. If you don't have the bag, bro, you will not be included.
Yeah, but this is where I differ in opinion from you on this. When I was 24 years old, and I got the letter that I had to go to 180 Livingston Street,
right,
and piss in a cup because I got a job with the New York City Transit Authority. Mm-hmm. I had no bag. I had nothing in my life. I had nothing. And this is now like, you talking about a guy, I sold weed for a living, and I ate assorted pills whenever they came in front of me, and I fucked disgusting girls, and I was just a loser on earth. And then that opportunity came. Why did that opportunity come? Because I took the fucking test, because my father was like, you better go take that fucking test, because that rapping shit ain't gonna buy you a house, it ain't gonna buy you a car, it ain't gonna do shit. So was that privilege, or was that like,
No, that's not privilege. What I'm saying, that was not privilege. You actually got up
but why did you took the same fucking test 5 years earlier?
right.
So why don't more people decide that I see the system for what it is and how I'm trying to be fucking held down and not brought up?
I had someone that was telling me to go take the test.
Yo, you don't have to be told that shit, bro.
Nah.
Like, you know that those motherfuckers, your whole life in New York, somebody was like, yo, work for transit, work for sanitation,
But
work
listen,
for the post
listen,
office.
listen. If you
Get
have
a city
if
job.
you had two working parents, didn't you?
No, well, not. I had two parents. They both worked, kinda, but I lived with my mother.
Yeah.
My father left when I was
No, I
young.
said, but your father worked though. That's my point.
Yeah, he worked for the transit authority.
Okay, your mother worked, right?
Kinda. On and off.
Okay.
She did, but she worked some. She raised us, and then she kind of worked, and then she kind of married a dude with a lot of money, and then
Okay.
But what is the point you're trying to make?
The point that I'm
The
trying
example?
the point I'm trying to make is when you have an example, then no matter how far you stray, you still have that example.
Well, really, what it was to me was at the time. I'm coming of age. Obviously, I'm a little more than coming of age. I'm looking at people in the world, and I'm like, this motherfucker got the Benz. This motherfucker got a Beamer.
Right.
And then I look to my pops and my mother, and at that time they were both trying to get back on their feet, coming out of a divorce. My mother's getting remarried. My father started a new family with two young kids. Neither one of these motherfuckers was buying me a Benz or a Beamer. So the only way I was going to get my hands on this shit was to go get it myself.
Right.
And you have to want it that bad. And this is the major problem I have with just the perpetuation of this shit, and it all comes back to economics, bro. And I make that point because of that. It's like we could fight forever about all these injustices and all this inequality, but at the end of the fucking day, it boils down to one fucking thing. What happened?
Whoa, end of the day.
Oh shit.
Caught him.
We've been hanging out too much, man. No, but that was placed in the exact right place. I didn't just place it like a period at the end of the sentence.
No, don't try to attack me. I caught you. Just move on.
You got it. You got it. So now the score is 2-1 or 3 is it 3-1? I don't know who's counted. But yes, but that's the point of this whole long rant that went off on. It was like that opportunity. I get it. I get what you've been trying to say to me the entire time about this is just been going on so long that it seems like there's no hope for for there to be a change. But I feel like
change is imminent. It's the same thing. My son is 4 years old, right?
Yeah.
My son with another 4-year-old white kid will have as much fun. That's all they'll do is run around and do things.
That's right. Because their head isn't full of this shit yet.
Right. Because they haven't been indoctrinated. The point being, the only way that the remedy for this is for people to stop indoctrinating their children with the seeds of divide. That's basically it.
I think that a lot of like I said earlier, a lot of this is going to have to die out. Like these generations, there's more mixed children now than probably ever in the fucking history of the world.
Right.
So eventually, we're just going to fuck ourselves into one color. And by that time, we'll be dead and gone. And then maybe everybody will just get along and they'll all be getting their $1,200 stimulus package every month.
And the voices of dissent to that are scared as shit because they honestly feel like they're a dying breed and all they really have to latch on to is their own skin color.
Right.
And I can
mean,
understand people wanting to preserve heritage. I can understand people wanting to preserve bloodline to an extent. I can understand people wanting to preserve culture.
But they
But
don't
if
even know
all
why.
they value, exactly, but if all they value is the color of skin, at that point, it's just like, well,
But
it's
they
so
don't.
what are you
But
doing
people
as a
don't.
human?
People don't even know why. Like people that just they don't understand why they feel so patriotic, if you will, about being white. They don't even know where this sense of glory comes from. It
because
comes.
they were fucking programmed that way.
That's my point. They don't even know why they
That's
feel this way.
because their pawpaw was in the fucking army, man, and he was. This is like, dude, this shit is, to me, it's so fucking stupid. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of my life is unique.
A
And
lot of people also don't understand the concept of what privilege is, though, because kind of going back to what you were saying earlier, and I always like to frame it to people like this, you know, apartment hunting, right?
Mhm.
If you want to break down privilege, you're gonna have a hard time breaking it down as a big total, big picture type of message. What you want to get down to is on the individual level.
Right.
And what privilege comes down to is how someone else's biases may affect your interactions, right? And then you extrapolate that. So, for example, I give people my experiences with apartment hunting, right? I'll see an apartment go up listed just 5 minutes ago, and I'll call and I'll say my name, be like, "Oh, my name is Jay Reyes. I'm inquiring about this apartment. Please, reach me." Blah blah blah. I'll give the whole spiel. I'll code switch. I'll try to sound as unthreatening and unethnic as possible. I'll make it sound like I'm afraid of mayonnaise because it's too spicy. And then I'll get a call back. It's like, no, the apartment's been already been rented out. And I'm like, but the post went up 5 minutes ago. I'll call from my burn phone and I'll say like, oh, Jay Goldstein inquiring about this apartment. Then I get offered a day to come in and see the apartment because they thought I was Jay Goldstein, not Jay Reyes.
Now imagine this
Saying?
scenario, Jay
So when you
Reyes.
extrapolate that over, several times, like that's what privilege is, being able to not have to be prejudged based on just your name or your appearance.
Well,
Some people do have a. Go ahead.
Imagine this. Imagine your entire life, you have to walk around with the name Lo Castro, and everybody thinks you're fucking Cuban or something, and you never really get to be white, but the world tells you that you're white because you're Italian, when you're not white in the first place, you're Italian, and then you also have to look like a fat Puerto Rican guy. Now, could you imagine how much fun I've been having with this?
Well,
I mean, I can imagine the amount of shit people have talked about white people in front of you, but I kind of disagree on the Italians aren't white thing. But that is to say, also, I got nothing against white folks.
No, I got.
You're beautiful too. Just don't include hate in your pride of your skin color. Like that's.
Well, that's a big thing that people are proud to tell you you're white. This shit, dude. It even goes deeper than, like, I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of my wife before, but my wife is brown. She's fucking brown. She doesn't look white at all. So when I try to explain to them that she's white because she's Italian, and then they tell me, oh, what is she mixed with? Oh, she's Indian, right? No, it's like this whole color labeling system. I'm telling you, it's got to die out someday. It can't go on like this.
Jay,
talk to me.
Phil.
Hello, sir.
Do you know who the most discriminated against people are on the planet?
Apparently it's bikers, according to something I just saw. Bikers. They feel like they're more discriminated against than anybody.
No, I would have to say, as a person who's taken many flights in this lifetime of mine, that would be people who are on the chunky side.
Fat lives matter.
That's right. That's right. Even during the COVID, they said, oh, one of the most mitigating factors of the death rate would be obesity. Every time there's something that's wiping people out, they will say it's obesity that is a part of it.
Yes, and then when you go to the doctor, they don't treat you for obesity. They treat you for high blood pressure. They treat you for diabetes.
Right.
They treat you for high cholesterol.
Right.
I was thinking about this today. Like, the doctor be like, "Yeah, you're a little fat in the ass there, Phil. That's why you're on these pills." But he never sat me down and looked in my eyes and was like, you gotta stop fucking eating. You gotta. You
Listen,
got.
it doesn't matter what race, creed, color you are. If you're on the heavy side, it will be prefaced with that fat such and such and such and such and such. Do you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We're
I get you.
we're one people united. And the thing about it is, how can two fat people hate each other? They're both hungry.
Yeah, bro, fat people like with me and Sean, the thing between me and Sean when I'm just on the internet bashing his fatness,
Right.
it's like fat guys look at other fat guys
Uh-huh.
and they're like that fat motherfucker. And then like one day somebody's got to be like, no, you're actually fatter than that guy. I ask my wife all the time. I'm like, is Sean fatter than me or am I fatter than Sean? And she's like, no, he's definitely fatter than you. But if you ask Sean's like, are you fucking kidding me? You are a fucking blimp. You're the fattest fucking guy I know. I'm like, that's impossible. You know Fats and you know Vanderslice. He's like, you're fatter than both of them. See, but this is like, it's never ending. Never ending.
Man. But Jay, do you
Big up to
understand?
Diabolic.
Do you understand how discriminated against we are?
We are.
Man, I'm 5'7" and like close to 300 pounds, dude. I'm all compact. I'm a hockey puck. I don't fit in most airline flight, like just barely. I mean,
Hey, the
you
worst.
gotta extend the seatbelt to its fullest fucking before the strap can't even fucking go any further. I know, man.
No, you know when you know when you really know you're fat.
What?
When you get in the plane and you take your seat and the flight attendant just slides you the extender. She don't even ask you. She just says, "Yeah, hold that down. I know you need that." Like, wow.
She's like,
I've
she's
never
like,
gotten that, thankfully.
I've
I
seen
have had
enough
to
fat
like lift my gut up to get a fucking competent blowjob, but
Oh, man. You just put your belly on her head,
you know what I'm saying?
belly on the back shit.
Listen, man.
Fuck.
Until you got to live that seat extension on the plane, man. You got to live that. You know what I mean?
I've never done that, but I have flown on a plane 16 hours to fucking Thailand. Well, to China, and then another 2 hours to fucking Thailand. And that was miserable. Miserable for me. And I'm not even.
Why was it miserable?
Well, first of all, I'm fucking tall. So
Okay.
I had nowhere to put my fucking legs. And then I had to cramp my legs in, when you're sitting in your own lap, it doesn't leave a lot of room for legs when they're all cramped.
You know that is one of the indicating factors that you are obese is when you sit in your own lap. You know.
I'm sitting in my own lap right now.
Exactly. You know.
Fuck. With no pants on.
No
I
pants.
got boxer shorts on, but maybe I should give them a shot. Stand up and show them the hwang.
The fact of the matter is, are you comfortable? That's the real fact.
I was, and now I'm kind of sticking to this leather chair because it's a little hot down there. But we're almost done. We're an hour and 2 minutes in. I feel like we got a lot of shit out in the open today.
Right.
What do you guys say?
It's always
It was good.
It's always a pleasure to talk to Big Chief Smash. I love
I
it.
appreciate that.
I love his perspectives on things, and I love the fact that he always drops a nerdington word. You know what I mean?
Nerdington.
He
Which word was that?
extrapolate. You know.
Oh, yeah.
He has. If you look at all the 3 episodes that he's been on, he always has a nerdington moment where he just like lets everyone know that he actually was paying attention in class. He was just faking jacks like he was a dummy. You know what I mean?
Nah, he Googled that shit. He's got a
Oh,
list.
he uses the Google. Is that what
With the sticky notes on his computer? He's got a list of cool words too.
the Google?
I get my yo, you dead ass looking at the sticky notes on my computer?
I'm saying. I know you got them sticky notes right there.
Get that word of the day email,
So yeah,
Word.
so
I don't have to sit up here pontificating.
exactly. So I
Pontificate.
can't wait until he's on again to see the next nerdington moment that he has.
Oh man, I'm just gonna give y'all sentences now.
You gotta he's gonna spit a multi.
The multi in Shakespearean prose.
Yo,
Oh,
he's
man.
gonna pull up like a thesaurus. You know what I mean? And he's just gonna go in. Watch.
He's gonna pull up like a
Nerdington.
fat white battle rapper. with acne.
He's gonna go all Walt Clyde Frazier on us next episode. Watch.
Oh shit! Now the pressure's on because now I have to deliver.
He's gonna be all auspiciously swishing and dishing on us, you know.
He's gonna come through with some pertinent information.
Yes.
Man on the street, beep 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 beep, all that shit.
Oh, I like that. All right, so I don't want to test the technology, guys. We're at an hour and 4 minutes, and the ticker is ticking. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's tuning in weekly. There is a whole bunch of you. I believe I look at the plays and I'm like, oh, there's a solid group of people that actually listen to this. Because you wouldn't know
Is
by
it a grip of people or group of people?
it's like a fucking it's a bunch. Like if they were all in one room, I wouldn't want to pay the tab. That's for sure.
Right.
I wouldn't want to have to
Well,
order them pizzas.
they feel what we're doing here. You know what I mean? And
It's
and,
good.
And they're gonna and word of mouth is gonna get us out there even more. You know, and once somebody's gonna see something we say, maybe it'll be one of Jay's nerdington moments that'll go viral. You know.
You know what it is? We're so spread out between Spotify and Apple and YouTube and Facebook, but if you put all that shit together, the number's not that bad. I think we could build on it.
Right.
So with that being said, share the podcast, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to fuck with us, fuck with us. If you don't, go fuck yourself. That's always an option.
Word.
And some people could do it with both hands. Some people need only 2 fingers. But it's always on the table. Go fuck yourself. Good night.
Peace.
My camera died, so this is gonna be fucking weird.
I'm waiting for Fats to play his applause. Go ahead, Fats. You're not ready. All right, we're ending it right there. Peace.